So today we're going to talk about ethics, but not in that boring textbook kind of way. We're going to look at something much more fundamental, the human act of making a choice. And why that simple act? Well, it's the foundation of everything we call morality.
Let me start by asking you something directly. Just think about it for a second. Are you really free to make your own choices? I mean, think about the last important decision you made. Or heck, even what you decided to have for breakfast this morning. Was that choice completely and totally yours?
Now, this might sound like some deep philosophical question, but honestly, it's the absolute heart of ethics. Because if we can't answer this, then ideas like right and wrong, they just completely fall apart.
So let's get into it. Let's break down exactly why your freedom to choose is the one thing that morality cannot exist without.
First things first, we've got to understand that ethics, it's a uniquely human story. It's a system, a framework that really only applies to us.
Just think about it, right? If a lion hunts a deer in the jungle, we don't call it immoral. We just say, well, that's nature. But if a person harms another person, immediately we start talking about justice, about accountability. So what's the big difference?
And here it is, the key difference. We can only judge an action, call it right or wrong, if it was done voluntarily. If there's no choice involved, there can be no accountability. Simple as that.
And that, of course, leads us straight to the source of it all. If our actions must be voluntary, well, where does that voluntariness even come from? It comes directly from our freedom to choose.
I like to think of it as the golden chain of ethics. It's a beautiful way to see the logic. For us to hold anyone accountable, their actions have to come from free will. You break any link in this chain, and the entire idea of ethics it collapses.
So here's that chain. Lay it out nice and clear. It all starts with accountability, our need to judge an action. But for that, you need voluntariness. The person has to choose to do it. And where does that come from? It comes from free will. See? It's a perfect logical flow. One thing leads to the next.
Okay, so if free will is so important, what is it exactly? It's not just some vague feeling, For free will to truly exist, there are actually three very specific conditions that have to be met.
And here they are, the three essential ingredients you need. Knowledge, you need a multiplicity of options, and you need an absence of pressure. Let's look at each one of these.
First up, knowledge. This basically means you need to have the mental ability to understand your choices and what will happen because of them. A perfect example of this is in our own Juvenile Justice Act. We don't hold a small child as accountable as an adult. Why? Because we know they haven't fully developed that rational capacity to really get what's right and what's wrong.
Second, you need to have more than one option. I mean, it's common sense, isn't it? If there's only one road available, are you really free to choose it? No. Real choice means having a genuine alternative.
And third, and this is a big one, you need to be free from overwhelming pressure. Now, this pressure can be internal, say from a severe mental illness, but it can also be external, and this is huge. The immense pressure of society, of culture, of tradition, all telling you how you must behave.
That idea of external pressure allows us to zoom out a bit. We can go from thinking about just one person to thinking about the entire society, because the way our society is built can either give us more free will or it can completely crush it.
This leads us to the concept of a closed society. In a society like this, your individual choice, it doesn't matter much. What matters is tradition, religious rules, and rigid cultural norms. When your life is already decided for you, the space to be an ethical person, to make your own moral choices, it becomes very, very small.
And you see forces that create this everywhere. Things like cultural determinism. Just think about the historical Varna system or rigid patriarchy. These things tell you what your role is from the day you were born. Things like dictatorships or theocracies. They are designed to take away individual choice and put all the control at the top.
But the opposite of that is an open society. And this is the ideal, really. It's a society that doesn't just allow, but actively protects and values an individual's right to use their own reason, to make their own choices, and to live their own life.
So what does an open society look like? Well, it's defined by things like liberalism, which puts individual freedom first. A fantastic example is Article 19(1) of our own Indian Constitution, which guarantees freedom of speech. It's also defined by a culture where people can debate and disagree, by multiculturalism, and by secularism. All these things create the space for free will to really grow.
So how does this society go from being closed to being more open? It doesn't happen by magic, that's for sure. It happens because real people, brave people, fight to make it happen. Let's just take a moment to look at some of these architects of freedom, especially here in India.
What can you say about Dr. B.R. Ambedkar? A true giant. He directly took on the cultural determinism of the caste system. He powerfully argued that your birth should never decide your worth, and he fought for a new society built on liberty, equality, and fraternity for all.
And then you have reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He sought traditions that were harmful, and he wasn't afraid to challenge them. He pushed people to think for themselves, to use reason, instead of just following blind faith. He was fighting for people's minds to be free.
And think about the incredible impact of someone like Jyotiba Phule. When he founded a school for women, it was a truly revolutionary act. He understood a fundamental truth. Education is the key to self-determination. It gives people the knowledge, that first ingredient of free will, to make their own choices and shape their own lives.
So you see, this whole struggle for free will isn't just some abstract idea. It's a real, historical battle that has shaped the very world we are living in today. And that brings it all right back to you, doesn't it? Knowing that the freedoms you enjoy were fought for, does that change how you look at your own choices? The fight continues, in our societies and inside each of us. So the question is, how will it shape your choices today?